Now to the power sector, where the federal government says its directive to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is to legal entities in the sector to step up their game and ensure that Nigerians get the benefits that development in the sector should bring to them. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, disclosed this while speaking in Abuja. The minister said the directive is meant to ensure that entities fulfill the obligations to Nigerians and abide by the law. Let's take a listen to what the minister has to say on the sector.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had briefed journalists on the status of Nigeria's power sector at the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing in Abuja in order to fashion out ways to improving the delivery of power supply to the Nigerian populace.
This is not a time to trade blames because there is enough blame to go around. For me, it is a time to reiterate everybody's responsibility and urge all of us to brace up, to do what we are obliged to do, which is to serve the people. I suspect that these facts may appear like a red flag to the bulls of anti-privatization, but I remain convinced that privatization is the way forward. Privatization has brought us better value in broadcasting, it has brought us better value in newspapers, in telecoms, and in banking, and other sectors of our national life, and I remain convinced that it will deliver in power.
During the press briefing on the state of play in the power sector, he refers copiously to the provision of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, which is the law that regulates the power sector, regulating it to effective ways to boosting the distribution network in order to improve service delivery to the people of Nigeria.
The law does not make it mandatory for any Nigerian to receive power only from the DISCO or to use only public power. That is why it is not an offense for Nigerians to buy generators, to buy inverters or solar systems, which are of course more expensive than the power which Embed buys from the GENCOs and invests in the DISCOs to distribute to consumers. Therefore, in answer to the question of who to turn to when you have no meter, when you have no supply of power, or your transformer is bad, it is the DISCOs who are your service providers that you should turn to. They are the ones who bill you and collect money from you. I must of course point out that from time to time there are failures in the system, such as gas pipeline failures or transmission failures. That is not the fault of the DISCOs. But any fair-minded observer will admit that this does not happen every day. And this has nothing to do with the supply of meters or the proliferation of estimated bills.
The President Muhammadu Buhari administration has intervened with various funding initiatives in the three key areas of power, namely generation, transmission, and distribution.
As facilitator of business and enabler of private sector, government has done the following. First, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, government made available the sum of 213 billion naira to the power sector at concessionary interest rate below market rate to GENCOs and DISCOs. The government has committed to invest 72 billion naira for procurement of equipment and installation to help get to 2,000 megawatts to consumers. And this process has been advertised with encouraging responses from original equipment manufacturers which are being evaluated.
Fashola directs NERC to ensure that the DISCOs improve on their distribution of equipment and capacity to take up the available 2,000 megawatts in order to optimize the use of electrical resources produced by the GENCOs. He also mandated NERC to enforce the contract of the DISCO view to apply meters and act to ensure the speedy installation of meters with a view to eliminate estimated billings and promote efficient industry and market structure.
Government has not left the supply solely to the DISCOs. Government at federal, state and local government and former employees of PHCN hold 40% of the shares in the DISCOs. In addition, government is responsible for regulating the behavior and compliance through the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. It is necessary to direct NERC to step in to do the following. A. Ensure that the DISCOs improve on their distribution equipment and capacity to take up the available 2,000 megawatts in order to optimize the use of electrical resource produced by the GENCOs, and I direct NERC to immediately act in this regard. Enforce the contract of the DISCOs to supply meters and act to ensure the urgent, speedy supply and installation of meters with a view to eliminating estimated billing and promote efficient industry and market structures.
The Minister of Power Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, discloses that the executive arm of government would, in collaboration with the federal legislatures, push to end the practice of estimated billings of consumers in Nigeria.
The GENCOs are undertaking various repairs, rehabilitation, and expansion that will bring on incremental power. Transmission has also increased from an average of 5,000 megawatts in 2015 to 7,124 megawatts approximately in December 2017. This will give an average annual increase of about 1,062 megawatts per annum in transmission capacity. TCN currently has about 90 transmission projects in various stages of construction, and many of them are scheduled to be completed this year. So we can transport what the GENCO generate, and there's a transmission expansion plan from 2018 to 2028, which government is committed to implement. With regards to distribution, this has also improved from 2,690 megawatts approximately in 2015 to a peak distribution of 5,222 megawatts in 2018, averaging an increase of about 844 megawatts per annum, because the DISCOs have also done some work.
It is important to note that for the past 20 months in all its public briefings at monthly meetings with the DISCOs, these same issues of service delivery of meters, estimated billings, investment in distribution equipment by DISCOs have dominated his remarks. In spite of the reservations by the DISCOs over the way forward, the minister is optimistic that the power sector and nation at large would prosper.
The traffic